Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started. WWE superstar Solo Sikoa will step inside the squared circle to lock horns with Roman Reigns at the Raw Netflix premiere. The 31-year-old's win over the latter will officially establish him as the OTC's successor. Solo Sikoa was the enforcer to the Roman Reigns-led bloodline till the head of the table decided to take a break after losing to Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania XL. Amid Roman's absence, Sikoa took over the leadership responsibilities and kicked out Jimmy Uso and Paul Heyman from the group. He built his own stable around Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Jacob Fatu, calling himself the Tribal Chief. Roman Reigns made his return at SummerSlam to cost Solo Sikoa his undisputed WWE Championship match against Cody Rhodes. The two former stablemates have been involved in an intense rivalry ever since. Earlier today, Solo took to his Instagram story to remind everyone that the OTC had hailed him as the future Tribal Chief a year ago. You can check out his Instagram story by clicking here. WWE Hall of Famer makes huge prediction for Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa. On the latest edition of Friday Night SmackDown, the OTC challenged Solo Sikoa for a tribal combat match. The latter accepted the challenge, and the showdown has been made official for Raw's Netflix debut. WWE Hall of Famer Mark Henry recently shared his prediction for the high-stakes contest. During his appearance on the Busted Open podcast, Henry predicted that Roman would win the match and the Ulafala. However, the 53-year-old believes that after the bout, there would be a stare-down between the OTC and the returning final boss. He further explained why it should happen. "I'd say they have the match and Roman Reigns wins, and the presentation of the Ulafala. Then The Rock's music hits. You need to have a definitive Roman Reigns one moment, where he's in the ring with his hand raised and the one in the air, and all is good in WWE land. But then, a dark cloud approaches, lightning strikes, and here comes the evil that is supposed to be greater than the one he just vanquished," he said. From 12:59 to 13:51. While Solo Sikoa pinned Roman Reigns in the six-man tag team match at Crown Jewel, the 39-year-old returned the favor at Survivor Series War Games. It will be interesting to see who comes out on top when the two former stablemates compete in a one-on-one match for the Ulafala next month on Raw. Solo Sikoa stood alone in the dimly lit arena, the echoes of the previous SmackDown match still reverberating through the empty seats. The stoic enforcer of the bloodline, known for his silent yet menacing demeanor, was about to break his silence. For weeks, the tension within the bloodline had been palpable. Roman Reigns, the undisputed WWE Universal Champion and self-proclaimed Tribal Chief, had been absent since his controversial title defense at Survivor Series. In his absence, Solo had been holding the family together, or trying to. The camera panned closer as Solo adjusted his traditional Samoan necklace, his eyes heavy with thought. This wasn't just another promo. This was personal. "Roman, this is for you." Solo's voice, low and deliberate, pierced the silence. "I've been keeping quiet, doing what's expected of me. Protecting the bloodline, taking out threats, standing by your side. But now you're gone. And the family? It's falling apart." He paused, looking down at the title draped over his shoulder, a symbolic gesture that hinted at the responsibility he had been carrying in Roman's absence. "You once told me that I was being groomed for something bigger, that one day I'd be ready to sit at the head of the table if anything ever happened to you. But now I'm starting to wonder, was that the truth, or just another way to keep me in line?" Recollections of the past. Solo's voice grew more intense as he recounted the moments that shaped him. "When I joined the bloodline, I wasn't just some wild card from NXT. I was your hand-picked enforcer. You said I reminded you of the old ways, of the strength and pride of our family. Every move I made, every fight I won, was for this family, for you." He stepped closer to the camera, his piercing eyes burning with emotion. "You told me stories about how the elders saw me as the future, that my silence wasn't weakness, it was power. But now I see things differently. Maybe you didn't want me to be strong enough to take the throne. Maybe you just wanted me to be strong enough to protect yours." Solo took a deep breath, his expression softening for a brief moment. I remember when we sat around the fire, and the elders spoke of the tribal chief's role. They said it wasn't just about being the strongest. It was about being the wisest, the most loyal. You've always been those things, Roman. But now I ask myself, can you still be those things if you're not here? A growing rift. Solo's words hinted at a growing rift within the bloodline. Since you've been gone, Jay's taken his path, Jimmy's playing his games, and I've been left to clean up the mess. Do you know what that feels like? To carry the weight of a family that doesn't even trust each other anymore. His voice cracked slightly, but he quickly regained his composure. I've been doing your dirty work for years, Roman. Taking out your enemies. Making sure no one questions your reign. But what about my future? When you're ready to walk away, who's going to carry the family then? Jay? Jimmy? Or am I just supposed to stay in the shadows, waiting for scraps? The turning point. Solo's tone shifted, becoming more defiant. I've learned something in your absence, Roman. Being a leader isn't about control. It's about trust. And I'm starting to think you never trusted me enough to let me lead. You kept me as the silent soldier because you were scared of what I could become. But let me tell you something, Roman. I'm not the same kid you brought into this family. I'm ready. The arena's silence was deafening as Solo's words hung in the air. I've bled for this family. I've fought for this family. And if it comes down to it, I'll even fight you for this family. A direct challenge. Solo's next words were a direct challenge to Roman Reigns. You've always said that being the tribal chief is about proving yourself, about showing the world why you deserve to sit at the head of the table. Well, Roman, maybe it's time for me to prove myself too. Maybe it's time for you to see what happens when the enforcer becomes the challenger. His declaration sent shockwaves through the WWE universe. Solo Sikoa, the man who had been Roman's most loyal ally, was now positioning himself as a potential rival. I don't need your permission to step up. The elders chose you, but they're watching me now. And if you can't be here to lead, then maybe it's time for someone else to take your place. A final message. Solo's voice softened, but the intensity in his eyes remained. This isn't about betrayal, Roman. This is about legacy. Our family deserves a leader who's here, who's ready to fight for them every single day. And if you can't do that, then step aside. He looked directly into the camera, as if Roman Reigns himself were standing on the other side. When you come back, I won't be the same man you left behind. I've learned what it means to be a leader, and I'm ready to show the world, and you, why I was groomed for this role all along. The Bloodline's future. As Solo walked away, the WWE Universe was left reeling. His words were more than just a promo. They were a statement of intent. The Bloodline, once the most dominant faction in WWE history, was now fractured. Roman Reigns' absence had created a power vacuum, and Solo Sikoa was no longer content to stand in the shadows. The question now was clear. Would Roman return to reclaim his throne, or would Solo Sikoa prove that he was ready to take on the mantle of tribal chief? The seeds of a new chapter in the Bloodline saga had been sown, and the WWE Universe could only watch as the drama unfolded.